Innanzitutto ho avuto la fortuna di avere dei giocatori bravi, perché senza giocatori bravi non si vince.
As a manager, you could probably quite compellingly make a case for him being the best Italian manager, certainly in modern Italian football.
Entrare qua, che prima di ogni manifestazione io dicevo sempre ai miei giocatori: adesso andiamo e vinciamo.
Marcello Lippi, the stubborn coach who transformed Italy into world champions when nobody believed it was possible. But what most people forget is the journey. Years of criticism, dismissed ideas, and a philosophy that changed Italian football forever. If you care about football history, you know the numbers. World Cup 2006, 5 Serie A titles, a Champions League. But the real story is how a modest coach from Ruggiero proved that character matters more than tactics, building a legacy that lives in the imagination of Italian fans. Trophies tell part of the story. The real achievement? Building a team so united, so mentally strong, that even a national scandal couldn't break them. For Lippi, football was a battle of minds, hearts, and unshakable belief. So, how did a boy from Tuscany become the architect of Italy's greatest triumph? And why did his genius burn brightest when everything else seemed lost? Born in 1948 in Viareggio, Marcello Lippi came from working-class roots. His father juggled multiple jobs, mainly selling sweets, never quite making pastry chef, while his mother worked as a tailor.
Tu stesso fai i bomboloni, mi racconto.
Avevamo la pasticceria, ma non era la pasticceria. Aveva fatto rappresentante di dolci, aveva un negozio di frutta e verdura, insomma cambiava, però lavorava, un grande lavoratore, grande dignità, come hai detto. Mia madre faceva la sarta, uscivamo di casa, sembravamo dei principini.
Football consumed young Marcello, but his first team wasn't glamorous. It was Stella Rosa, a local youth club with communist leanings that made players sing partisan songs before matches.
No, la prima erano
Sant'Andrea,
i pretini. Poi la Stella Rossa che era una squadra, insomma, ci facevano cantare le canzoni Bella Ciao, Brigata Caiani Potente, canzoni partigiane, no? Andavamo in trasferta e ci facevano cantare le canzoni.
Com'è la seconda che hai detto?
Brigata Caiani Potente.
At 14, opportunity knocked. Sampdoria signed him, and his mother dressed him in a flannel and a pink shirt for the journey to Genoa. The farewell was harder than anyone expected. Young Marcello couldn't wait for his father to leave, then immediately broke down alone in the dormitory bathroom, overwhelmed by the reality of his new life. From those tears emerged determination. Not the most talented, but refusing to be overlooked, the small boy who cried alone would one day make an entire nation cry tears of joy. Lippi spent 16 years at Sampdoria as a player, a solid defender who never quite reached the heights he dreamed of. Under coach Fulvio Bernardini, he learned lessons that would shape his future.
Bernardini è stato quello che mi ha fatto esordire in Serie A nel 70. Bernardini era una persona straordinaria. Ecco, lui è diventato, quando ho cominciato a pensare di fare allenatore, ho cominciato a pormi lui come riferimento, non come bravura tecnico-tattica di insegnamento o di metodologia di lavoro, ma come personalità. Lui aveva una personalità fantastica, la imponeva la sua personalità a tutti, ma senza annullare quella degli altri.
Those years weren't wasted. Every training session, every tactical meeting, every moment watching Bernardini command respect, Lippi absorbed it all. The player who couldn't quite make it, becoming the coach who would change everything. When his playing days ended at Sampdoria, President Mantovani offered him a choice.
E il presidente Mantovani mi salutò perché io andavo a finire la mia carriera a Pistoia e mi disse: vai, e poi quando hai finito la tua carriera torni qua, ci sediamo davanti a questa sedia, a questa scrivania, e mi dici che cosa vuoi fare. E io dopo 2 anni sono andato, sono tornato e mi dice: cosa vuoi fare? Io voglio provare a fare allenatore, mi piace.
The coaching road wasn't smooth. Pontedera, Siena, Lucchese, Lippi paid his dues in Italy's lower divisions. At Cesena, he met the eccentric President Lugaresi, a man whose Italian was as unpredictable as his decisions. Then came a test of character that would define him. In March, during a recent season fighting relegation, Lugaresi offered him a watch and a contract extension.
Salutarmi a Villa Siglia dove ci allenavamo e c'aveva un Girard Perregaux d'oro bellissimo, un orologio bellissimo. No? E io gli dissi, bello quell'orologio, Presidente. E lui mi disse, se ci salviamo glielo regalo. Bello, grazie, gli dissi. Anzi, facciamo una cosa. Domani venga in sede e firmiamo il contratto anche per il prossimo anno. Come il contratto per il prossimo anno? Dobbiamo ancora salvarci, se retrocediamo. A parte che non retrocediamo perché lavoriamo bene, vedrà che ci salviamo. Ma comunque va bene il suo lavoro, va bene così, anche se retrocediamo gli faccio il contratto lo stesso. E rimane anche. Dissi grazie, ci diamo una stretta di mano.
The next day, Atalanta offered him double the money and a UEFA Cup spot. Most coaches would have jumped at it.
Tornai a casa, parlai anche con mia moglie, dissi io non mi sento di affrontare. Sono arrivato adesso in Serie A, faccio un accordo, stringo la mano al presidente e il giorno dopo vado da un'altra parte, non me la sento. Telefonai a questo signore e gli dissi guardi io non vengo perché non mi sento di fare questo sgarbo a lui.
Cesena exonerated him 6 months later anyway, but Atalanta remembered the man who kept his word. They called him again the following year, and Lippi finally got his chance. That handshake defined his reputation, a man of honor in a world of broken promises. In 1994, Juventus came calling. It seemed perfect. It was complicated. Lippi's father had been a passionate supporter of every team except one, Juventus. Before accepting the job, Lippi visited his father's grave.
Non aveva mai amato la Juventus. E allora sono andato sulla colma di mio padre e gli ho detto abbi pazienza, ma io vado alla Juventus, non ci rimanevo.
He remained for 5 extraordinary years. What followed was domination. 5 Serie A titles, a Champions League, an Intercontinental Cup. He assembled a squad of technical brilliance, with Zidane at its heart, a player so gifted he made the impossible look routine. But success didn't come from talent alone. Lippi built teams on personality and belief. In the 1996 Champions League final against Ajax, his philosophy was tested. After 120 grueling minutes, it went to penalties.
A Roma dopo l'Ajax tutta la squadra che aveva fatto un'ottima partita e avremmo meritato ampiamente di vincere nei 120 minuti, tutti mi guardavano negli occhi fisso e volevano partecipare alla vittoria, volevano battere il rigore. Infatti vince.
But that same belief had limits. 7 years later in Manchester against Milan, the atmosphere was different. Players tying their shoes, looking anywhere but at their coach. Nobody volunteering for the pressure. Trezeguet finally stepped up reluctantly. They lost. The lesson was brutal and clear. Confidence separates champions from pretenders. What set Letty apart? Not revolutionary tactics or complex systems. Something simpler, yet harder to replicate. His ability to get inside players' minds.
Farli capire, e se si tratta di grandi giocatori, di quanto sia importante che loro mettono a disposizione degli altri le loro qualità. Nessuno deve fare la prima donna o il primo attore.
He learned this from Enzo Berzot, Italy's 1982 World Cup winning coach. Not tactics, but psychology. Not systems, but hearts. Lippi demanded more than talent. He wanted the right people. Honest, committed, team first. His Juventus teams were known for discipline and respect. But beneath the tough exterior was genuine care. He gave his players freedom to work without interference or constant judgment, trusting them to deliver when it mattered. This balance, demanding yet supportive, tough yet caring, changed everything. Respect? Sure, but players would literally run through walls for him. In July 2004, after leaving Juventus, Lippi accepted the ultimate challenge, coaching the Italian national team. The expectations were massive, the scrutiny relentless. Despite an unlucky debut loss to Iceland, the Azzurri qualified brilliantly for the 2006 World Cup. But Italy wasn't the favorites. Then disaster struck. Calcipioli, Italy's biggest clubs, were engulfed in a match-fixing scandal just weeks before the tournament. Juventus players faced relegation. The nation was divided, angry, disillusioned. Most coaches would have crumbled. Lippi saw opportunity. The criticism from public opinion did nothing but strengthen his grip.
Che in Germania ha portato i più bravi calciatori italiani in assoluto. Può darsi che ce ne fosse qualcuno che era più bravo di quelli che ho portato io, ma di sicuro io quelli ho portato quelli più giusti, più adatti per formare un gruppo così unito, così forte.
The scandal became their fuel. The criticism became their motivation. Every attack on Italian football became a reason to prove the doubters wrong. Lippi's preparation for Germany 2006 was meticulous. Every detail mattered, even the bizarre ones. Before matches, he needed haircuts from the most unlikely barber.
Mi chiamò, io mi girai e gli disse a voce bassa:
Massimo, te la senti? Massimo gli dice:
mister, sono qui per questo, voglio dire. Già mi batteva il cuore, ho detto: oddio, devo fare le sorti. E lui disse: no, perché c'ho un po' di ricciolini che mi girano qua.
Però dopo passi in camera che mi dai una spuntatina.
Allora sul momento io dentro di me mi sono arrabbiato.
But there was method behind the madness. Lippi created belief through confidence, even manufacturing miracles when necessary. In China, he once staged an impossible fishing catch to inspire his players.
Sono andato dal mio amico che vendeva i pesci al mercato, ho comprato un pesce così grosso e l'ho portato con un peso nel laghetto che vedete.
Che era di fronte all'albergo.
Che era di fronte all'albergo e l'ho messo lì, no? E poi andando a fare una passeggiata con i ragazzi gli ho detto io, voi non ci credete, ma io se mi tuffo qua dentro prendo un pesce grande così. Ah vai, mi fecero loro. Ma vai, no? Allora mi sono spogliato, mi sono buttato e fortunatamente ho visto il pesce sott'acqua e sono venuto fuori così.
Illusion or inspiration, it didn't matter. The players believed their coach could achieve the impossible, and belief conquers doubt. Germany 2006 began quietly. Italy ground out results without fireworks. Solid defensively, uninspiring going forward. Critics questioned Lippi's choices, his tactics, his conservative approach. Where was the flair? Where was the risk? Then came the knockout rounds. Against Australia, a controversial penalty in the dying seconds saved Italy from embarrassment. Against Ukraine, they finally clicked, shutting out their opponents completely. But the real test arrived in Dortmund, semi-final against hosts Germany. The match drifted toward penalties. With extra time ticking away and the stadium roaring, Lippi made a decision that shocked everyone. 4 forwards on the pitch.
Ma perché in quel momento la squadra era forte, era in forma, avevamo una difesa che non passava neanche una nocciolina dalla nostra difesa. E allora ho rischiato, ho detto metto in difesa non passa nessuno, metto 4 attaccanti, vediamo chi è che la vince.
Grassi and Del Piero scored in the final minutes. Italy was through to the final, but Lippi's greatest test was still ahead. July 9th, 2006, Olympic Stadium, Berlin. Italy versus France. The pressure was unbearable. After Zidane's headbutt on Materazzi, after 120 exhausting minutes, it came down to penalties. Lippi had learned from his failures. He'd seen confident teams succeed and fearful teams collapse. This time would be different.
A Berlino di nuovo dopo la bella partita che avevamo fatto, tutti partecipi a guardarmi volevano partecipare a battere il rigore. Pensi che quando andavo a battere il rigore lo guardai e dissi te mi devi qualcosa e infatti.
But before celebrating, Lippi did something peculiar. While his players erupted in joy, he calmly secured his spectacles, a moment of paranoid preparation before joining the chaos.
Dal 96 al 2006 sono passati 10 anni e la mia vista non è certo migliorata. E allora che cosa ho pensato di fare io? Quando all'ultimo rigore di Berlino ho preso gli occhiali, mi sono girato, ho preso la tuta, ho aperto la zip della tuta, li ho messi dentro, ho chiuso la zip, mi sono girato e ho festeggiato. E a tutti questo gesto qua è sembrato assurdo, no? Dice uno che diventa campione del mondo, non può.
That gesture, practical, paranoid, perfectly Lippi, captured his essence. Even in football's greatest moment, he thought ahead. Champions prepare for celebration. When Fabio Grasso scored the final penalty, Italy erupted. 4 World Cups. Only Brazil had more. Lippi had delivered the impossible.
Nell'ebbrezza, la più grande soddisfazione che possa provare uno sportivo, un calciatore, un allenatore, uno che fa il nostro lavoro. Questa è la più grande in assoluto gioia. Io ho avuto la fortuna di vincere la Champions League, di diventare campione del mondo.
But even in victory, Lippi remained grounded. After the greatest night of his life, after becoming a national hero, he didn't party with his players. He retreated to his hotel room alone, rewatching the match with a cigar. The same ritual he'd performed after every game for 30 years. That solitary celebration revealed everything. For Lippi, football was personal, a private battle between vision and reality. The joy wasn't in crowds or champagne. It was in knowing he'd been right all along. 3 days after the greatest triumph in Italian football history, Marcello Lippi shocked a nation. At the peak of his powers, adored by millions, with the world at his feet, he resigned.
Ho avuto la fortuna di avere tante soddisfazioni nel calcio, di fare tante vittorie. La più grande in assoluto, come ti ho detto, è stata quella del mondiale. Basta così, adesso ci pensa qualcun altro.
Non è facile lasciare.
In Italia.
The decision stunned everyone. Why walk away from glory? Why abandon a team that would have followed him anywhere? Because Lippi understood something most coaches never grasp. Knowing when to stop requires more courage than knowing when to start. He'd reached the summit. There was nowhere left to climb. In his mind, he'd completed the circle. The promise to his father's grave was fulfilled. The critics were silenced. The philosophy was proven. Anything after that would only diminish perfection, or so it seemed. In 2012, Lippi accepted an offer from Guangzhou Evergrande. The money was exceptional, he admitted. What followed surprised everyone. 3 league titles in the AFC Champions League. China demanded adaptation. Players conditioned to follow orders without questioning required entirely different methods.
Ci siamo resi conto lavorando che quando noi proponevamo per esempio in un allenamento 2 o 3 cose, gli creavamo dei grandi problemi. Avessero dovuto scegliere, pensare fra 2 o 3 situazioni, che da noi è semplice, per loro era un problema. Allora siamo andati avanti perché gli insegnamenti diventassero poi automatismi, siamo andati avanti con un concetto sul quale lavorarci per 10-15 giorni, uno alla volta. Se gli davi 2 o 3 possibilità, gli creavi dei problemi, perché loro sono abituati da sempre a eseguire un comando.
Against Bayern Munich in the 2013 Club World Cup semifinal, Lippi proved Chinese football could compete. Though they lost, Guardiola admitted he was worried facing an Italian man with dangerous organization.
They have a very, very good organization in when they don't have the ball, and they have a 3-4 players, the huge quality, favorite for this game. But what's happened against an Italian man, that is a lot of danger.
Today, Lippi lives by the sea in Viareggio, the place where it all began. The glasses from Berlin sit in FIFA's museum. The memories of triumph remain vivid, along with his love for the sea, the simple walks and storms that have always brought him peace. Looking back, Lippi sees no major regrets. His career, built on handshakes honored, promises kept, and belief transmitted, stands as a monument to what coaching truly means, giving players confidence to believe they can win everything. His players became coaches themselves. Pirlo, Gattuso, Inzaghi, Conte, spreading his philosophy across football. The teacher's lessons live on through his students.
I think it's fair to say that his legacy will be remembered for winning the World Cup. in 2006 with Italy. And it's a really good kind of example of how small the margins are in football. But in that World Cup, Italy looked pretty dreadful for 3 or 4 games.
Marcello Lippi never played for Italy's senior team. He never won the Ballon d'Or. He wasn't the most tactical genius or the most charismatic speaker. But he understood football's deepest truth, that belief, character, and unity matter more than any system.
Marcello Lippi, campione del mondo in carica con l'Italia per la 4ª volta campione del mondo. Il mito quindi è stato raggiunto. Lippi ha un 34 panchine sulla nazionale italiana con 20 vittorie, 12 pareggi e 2 sole sconfitte. L'ultima sconfitta.
From a crying 14-year-old in Genoa to a world champion in Berlin. From broken promises to kept handshakes. From doubt to unwavering belief. Marcello Lippo proved that the greatest victories don't come from the most talented, but from the most united. Not from the best plans, but from the strongest hearts. The architect of Italy's World Cup dynasty.